Well, hello there. Welcome or welcome back. Tisha here, back for another Sister Wife chapter reading. This is a memoir of faith, family, and finding freedom by Christine Brown Woolley. Go ahead and do me a favor and hit the like button as we jump into chapter 24. Y'all, we are enjoying this book. Hopefully, my signal acts right because I'm ready whenever you are. Chapter 24. You just love people. Right. So we started with Beach Ken and how Cody and sinful Barbies were going to hell. And now we're moving on to burning garments. Interesting way for her to put that. Okay. One day, as we traveled home from a group trip, Robin made a request. I want to talk about garments, she said. As a reminder, garments, otherwise known as temple garments or special Mormon underwear, are underclothes that have been blessed. But you guys, they are hot, especially our church's long underwear version. In Las Vegas, they may have been protecting us from evil, but they weren't doing much for heat exhaustion. I'm never going to wear them again, I said. I think they're a form of control specifically aimed at women. I believe that if you don't like how you look, then you're being controlled. The cut of the garments forced us to wear long, frumpy clothes that were never in fashion. And when I look at my photos over the years, I was a frumpy girl. I don't want to be a frumpy girl. I don't want to be uncomfortable. I don't want to be controlled. In fact, I refuse to be controlled. Everyone else said they hadn't been wearing them because it was hot, but that they loved the church and they loved their garments. So that entire time she was the only one wearing them. Is that what she's saying? Interesting. Let's keep going. We all took them off for filming. Okay, this was something that was discussed in the comment section. Like some y'all don't mind my grays. Some of this was discussed in the comment section, right? That there were times where Robin would have on short sleeves and times where she would have on long sleeves. And it was thought that maybe it was because she had garments underneath. Now we're hearing that they took them off for filming. But if it was something that they were so convicted about, then I would think that they would have them on regardless of filming or not. Just my thoughts. Tell me yours. We all took them off for filming because the lights were hot and wearing garments on set felt like sitting in a plastic baggie. On media tours, we took them off to film because our clothes fit better, and then we put them on afterward. I had always loved putting them back on. They were like extra protection. Before we left Utah, Cody co taught Sunday school lessons. The lessons were more about being Christ like and less about the fundamentals of our church. In Vegas, we didn't have a local church. We had truly baptized. We went to one Mormon church service in Utah, and then things petered out. Over the years, I had questioned my faith. I felt sure my garments didn't make me a better Christian. I understood that membership in our tiny church didn't give us a monopoly on doing good deeds. And I didn't believe God would create one true religion, then leave a billion humans to fight for their spot in a game of divinity musical chairs. Also, according to our church, God said men are in charge. Seriously, what kind of God would come up with that plan? I started to question members of our leadership. I didn't find them honorable, and on a personal level, I didn't care for them. The actor Virginia Hill accused them of stealing more than $1 million from her, and a civil court ruled in her favor, as well as holding that church leaders embezzled tithing money. The church chose replacement leaders who were so strict that our children hated them. They wanted Cody to cut his hair. They said he couldn't pass the sacrament, bless, and pass ceremonial bread if he didn't, because Jesus had a crew cut. Then we found out we weren't supposed to wear earrings. Church teachings became more about previous prophets, previous church leaders, than about scriptural doctrine. I told Cody I didn't think I could teach Sunday school anymore to our kids. I told him I didn't believe our articles of faith were the word of God. Those are conditions of our religion, he said. I know, I said, I just don't think they're true. It was hard, and it took a long time to understand it myself because I loved being in the church and I loved my friends there. But I had lost my faith. I couldn't erase that. I couldn't be a hypocrite when that was one of my own complaints. The LDS church has what they call a temple recommend, where the bishop interviews you to make sure you're paying your tithing and not drinking alcohol or having premarital sex, and that you still believe the tenets of the church. If you're doing everything you're supposed to do, you can go to the temple. That's why Gentiles can't go to Mormon weddings. You have to be a Mormon in good standing to enter the building. Our church had an activities recommend, which is similar, but prohibits a person from attending church activities if they don't tithe or believe in the tenets of faith. As I struggled through my religious crisis soon after our garment conversation, I planned to go to girls' camp with Isabel. I asked my sister if she would be a camp counselor with me. Sure, of course. But then 2 months before we were supposed to go, I had to update my activities recommend. They expire. I knew I would have to lie. I couldn't lie to the bishop just so my daughter could go to camp. I called my sister. I'm sorry, I said. I can't go with you. She understood. She's still part of the church and loves it, but I couldn't keep pretending. I stopped teaching Sunday school. I put in my earrings. I ditched my garments. I told Cody, and he asked how God felt about it. I told him my relationship with God was fine. Cody said, okay. It took me about 6 months to process everything. At some point, I had to tell my kids I was struggling after spending their whole lives convincing them it was all true, just as my mom had done for me. Man, I told Isabel I wasn't going to girls' camp anymore. That means I'm not going to girls' camp, she said. I told her she could do what she wanted, but my girls are different from other girls at church. Once, on the way home from camp, Gwendolyn knocked the wind out of me. All these girls want to do is have babies, she told me. They don't want to go to college. It goes back to what they're taught. This is what they're taught. They're taught that it's more important to create life and expand for their kingdom than it is for them to further their education and things like that. Education isn't that important for girls, my opinion. You could tell me yours, but it's what they're taught. Let's keep going. Oh, I said, my words gone. These kids didn't even need the threat of an apocalypse to avoid higher education. I don't have anything in common with them, she said. It was a wake up call for me that as much as I wanted my kids to hang around kids with a similarly modest upbringing, and as much as I wanted them to be a part of supervised activities, and as much as I wanted them to have all the fun I had in the church growing up, we'd raised children who were different. We told them they could choose polygamy or not. We exposed them to other religions. We raised them to want an education and to have friends outside the church, which the camp kids also didn't do. The church kids didn't, for the most part, watch movies. They didn't listen to music. It started to dawn on me. Our leader was the only one who knew the rule of God. I was required to follow without question a strict list of rules. I grew up afraid of the outside world in a sheltered community. We judged and even ostracized those who left the church. Check, 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 and check. I believe I grew up in a cult. I believed I raised my children in a cult. Wow, Christine. Christine. That's big of her to say because that's how a lot of us felt. That is how a lot of us felt. And she's saying it. Okay. Okay, girl. I grew up with my friends and family who did and said and believed the same things I did. It was my normal. I knew what cults were, had even talked about how crazy and weird they were, but I don't have horrible memories of abuse, ostracism, and being unable to leave. We stayed because we liked the people and we liked the idea. I had freedom. I felt safe. I had so much fun. I loved having a big family and my church community. When I chose to live plural marriage, it was an educated decision. I hadn't been brainwashed, but just like everyone else, I had a tunnel of thoughts with a particular set of boundaries. Even before I believed we were in a cult, some of my kids figured it out as young adults. I had taught them not to live in fear. I looked at other religions hoping for something that made sense for me, but I haven't been able to find one that doesn't teach that there's something to be afraid of, that there's a devil or punishment from God. I'd rather live my life with hope. Losing my religion was a process, and I was doing it under the glow of a spotlight. I kept quiet as I tried to figure out how I felt and what I thought. I read Gabriel Bernstein's The Universe Has Your Back, Transform Fear to Faith, which is about finding direction to live a divinely guided life while also trusting enough to let go, relax, and live joyfully. Napoleon Hill has an amazing book called Outwitting the Devil, which talks about how fear and jealousy hold you back from doing the good things you want to do. I read the scripture letters by C.S. Lewis, which is a funny way of looking at the things that tempt us. It was important to me to have a personal relationship with God, even as I began to understand I wasn't part of a religion. I still believed in God, and God's opinion of me mattered. Would God want me? Would God accept me? What kind of child of God am I? I like having someone battle on my side, and I like having a God I can talk to. Are you okay with this? I asked. Is it okay that I'm leaving this church? The God I talk to is relatable. He's open minded and understanding. You know what, Christine? We can all have varying opinions on our religious backgrounds and things of that nature. And if you're new here, one of the things that I always say is I believe in what I believe, but I feel like if we all operate from a space of love, like the world would just be a better place. And to hear her admitting that she was battling with this while being on screen and having that spotlight on her and not being able to like really express it and try to figure things out, I respect her for saying it because that's the truth. That's the truth. As I became stronger in my own identity, I thought, God is fine with me and I am fine with him. I didn't need to be part of a church and I didn't need to buy into ideas about men's place over women or pierced ears. I'm sure losing one's faith is scary for some people, but for me, it was lovely. Oh my gosh, I've been so backward, I remember thinking. The world is full of people not to be afraid of. I believe most people are good, that they believe family is important and that they're doing what they can to make life better. We all want love. We all want family. We all want a safe community in which to raise our kids. The world became more beautiful to me. I decided to stay with the family because having a family is separate from religion. But I was done with the church. I think I've said this in the comment section, and I'm going to make sure I say it up here. I think that Christine is in the beginning stages of all of this. I'm glad that she's admitting that this is something that she's kind of struggled with and where she stands now. But I also think that she still has her rose colored glasses on when it comes to some aspects of the way that she was raised. And she still um, kind of like makes it seem like it was so great when there was obviously some things going on if your mother left the way that she did and it came out of nowhere to you. Like your children, Christine, weren't surprised when you left the way that you left, and you left around the same time that your mom left your father. So I wonder if she's really done a lot of introspection to see that, but part of me feels like it might be a little more complicated for her and it's easier to just, be at this stage of it. But that's my thoughts on it. You guys tell me yours. The good parts of me didn't go away with my Jesus jammies. I believe in treating people well and fairly. I believe all things my mom taught me. I think there are many different gods and religions, and there's beauty in that. I like the idea that there's a presence, but what matters in my daily life is how I treat people, that I'm kind, open minded, generous, and willing to give back. When we had pitched the show to TLC, we argued that ours was a civil rights issue, that as consenting adults, we should be free to love anyone we wanted. As I shook off a closed minded religion, my kids helped me better understand the other communities that hoped for the same right. When Leon told us they were gay, I remember thinking, what a relief for them. Leon must have felt so much anxiety, but still felt safe enough to tell us. I realized that it didn't bother me at all. I just wanted what was best for them. I was relieved for myself too because I had always known with 18 kids that someone would come out and I didn't know how I would respond. With love, I thought. Nothing has changed. It remained the same way. It remained the same when they came out as transgender. We had an incredible relationship in Vegas, and Leon was always at the house. I knew I loved them, and it didn't matter, and I hoped they would find someone who loved them as much as I do. When Gwendolyn told us she was bisexual, I felt grateful she told us and hoped she too would find happiness. I'm so proud of who she has become. Leon and Gwendolyn both now have wonderful partners. I had believed sexuality was a choice, and our kids have opened my mind. I love the conversations that start with me saying, teach me how to say this in a way that isn't offensive because this is all new to me. Very good. Very good. Let me continue. Or what's a better way to phrase this so I sound as accepting as I feel? Each time I've progressed, I've realized I wasn't as open minded as I thought I was, and I keep working to be better. My mom always had it right. You just love people. Good chapter. All right, let's jump to chapter 25. Don't make jokes with Oprah. Okay. We sued the state of Utah to challenge its polygamy law in 2011. Our case stated that the law violated our First and 14th Amendment rights for freedom of religion and civil rights. In October 2010, a few months before we filed the lawsuit in July, we found ourselves and our lawyer, Jonathan Truly, or is it Turley, Turley, headed to the Oprah show to talk about why we had fled to Las Vegas. This is the worst time to do Oprah, I remember telling us. I'm just going to tell you straight up. Oprah can make it or break it. If you don't impress Oprah, your lawsuit is going to fail. Oprah needs to like you. Okay, really? I didn't know Oprah had so much power. I guess I'm learning something new every day. Okay, let me keep going. No stress. Don't make jokes, Jonathan told us. Everyone thinks they can make jokes with Oprah. She's not going to understand. Don't make jokes with her. It makes it awkward for her. Just answer her questions and be yourself. And also, don't make jokes. Got it? No jokes. What? Like, is she that uptight? What's the problem with making a joke? Okay, let me keep going. Oprah was lovely. She came out to the stage in these comfy looking shoes and then she switched them out for pretty uncomfortable ones when she sat down. We laughed about that and she said, I can't walk in those, so I'm just not going to. Suddenly, she seemed like a real person. The show started and we all chatted. All things seemed to be going well. She asked me about being upset when I found out Robin and Cody had kissed before the wedding. She wanted to know why I was okay with that idea that Janelle and Mary were having sex with my husband, but a kiss from Robin was upsetting. Oprah asked hard questions, but we talked about it for a bit. Robin was kissing a married man. Mary and Janelle were married to the man they were sleeping with. See, simple. Janelle said some of our best friends are monogamous, and Oprah laughed. That loosened everybody up a bit. And then Cody made a joke, and I can't remember what it was, but I remember it wasn't funny at all. Are we surprised? Are we surprised by that? Are we surprised that Cody, the bald eagle brown, made a joke and it wasn't funny? I gotta get myself together. Hold on. I just had to pause it because the way, I don't know why that tickled me so much, you guys. Okay. Huh. That's not funny, Cody, Oprah said. Ooh, ouches of ouches. I don't know you, she continued, and I don't know your sense of humor. She told him that? Y'all, that's what it says. I don't know you, she continued. I don't know your sense of humor. So the reason why the attorney kept saying don't tell any jokes wasn't because of the wives, it was because of Cody. Ooh, wee. The interview continued, all of us with our hearts in our throats. Did Cody ruin it for polygamists everywhere by trying to make Oprah laugh? He was nervous. All of us were. And the attempt at a joke came out as a defensive response. We felt so bad for him. What were you thinking? Jonathan said as soon as we left the set. You made a joke with Oprah. I told you, you can't make a joke with Oprah. I saw a piece of paper before we went on. Cody said all the questions were about sex, and I panicked. I didn't know what to do. All in all, it was a wonderful experience. Oprah was one of my favorite hosts. Vegas had been stress free as far as the law was concerned. Some neighbors made comments at first about the appropriateness of polygamy and about how we were all going to hell, but they chilled out. We weren't the worst neighbors to have there, and the kids had done well outing themselves as members of a polygamous family at their public school. The other kids had questions, but then our kids became part of their normal. Our timing had been good. There had been such a massive shift in people's ideas about alternative lifestyles, and we benefited from that. And yes, I see the irony in that. But we felt the fight in Utah was important. We drove up to see our friend Joe Darger, who was also a polygamist. That meant going back to Utah. As soon as we hit the mountains, all I could think was, oh, it's like we're home again. Everyone talked about how much they missed the mountains, snow, and our families. It felt important to win the lawsuit so we could go back. Joe has three wives, including two who are twins, and they all live in the same house. Let's add that those wives also are cousins. The twins are cousins with the other wife. Let's add the first and the second wife got married on the same day. I read the book. It's on the channel. Good book. They actually do talk more about the complications, and Joe actually admits some of the things that he did wrong in this, and to my knowledge they're still together. In our community, it's not unusual for sisters or friends to marry the same guy. They're all good friends and have served as role models for us. They're super organized and usually on time. They seem to get along even while living in one house and using one kitchen. And they deserve the credit for pushing for the decriminalization of polygamy in Utah, arguing the case and protesting at the state capitol. Let Cody Brown tell it. It was mainly because of him. I'm glad that Christine is giving credit to other people than him. They found a senator who was willing to push a law, so they had been more politically active than we had. They had even gone public before we did, writing a book about their family called Love Times Three, Our True Story. They're independent polygamists, so they're not affiliated with a church or any particular religion. Now, she has pictures in here, but I'm going to go back to them after I'm done reading this chapter, okay? And I'll show it to you guys. We sued Utah. It angered our church. By that point, they didn't feel like we represented them, and not all of us thought we did either. I had spoken out against some of their practices, and they didn't want that limelight. We won our lawsuit in 2013 with the court saying a man can't legally marry more than one person at a time, but there's nothing constitutionally that prohibits him from living with someone else. People do that all the time. You separate, you move in with someone else while you work out the divorce. But our case was uh, later overturned on appeal on a technicality. We had never been prosecuted for polygamy, so our rights had not been violated. That, of course, meant we still couldn't go home because the threat of a felony offense would hang over our heads. There's so many other people that have been public, that have been on this show, that still live in Utah, that didn't happen to. I don't know how much I buy that, but that's the story that they've always told us. So for the sake of her saying it here, we'll go with it. In 2017, the state upped the ante. They expanded the anti bigamy law to make it more serious second degree rather than third degree felony if domestic or sexual abuse was involved, and they exempted minors from prosecution. I'm all for coming down hard on abuse, but if people were afraid to report it before, toughening the penalties wouldn't help. The new law also reworded the definition of bigamy. The old law said It's bigamy if a married man spiritually marries someone else or lives with them. The new law says it's bigamy if he lives with a purported spouse while legally married to someone else. The state said it would prosecute polygamy cases only if abuse were involved, but it wasn't a guarantee. The Doggers kept after it, explaining that that abused family members feared coming forward because the laws were too restrictive. No wife will say she's being abused if she risks going to jail or sending her family to jail on felony offense if she says she's a polygamist. Joe realized the rights argument wasn't going to convince Republicans in Utah, so they kept working the abuse angle. In 2020, the Utah legislature passed law a law that made polygamy among consenting adults an infraction like a parking ticket. It's still a felony if you marry someone without telling your spouse or the person you plan to marry that you married someone else. It's still a second-degree felony if a person is found guilty of polygamy as well as abuse. The governor said it was time to bring polygamous families out from hiding so they would be safe. No matter what else happened with our family, I'm proud that we helped people see polygamy in a different light. And that's the end of that chapter. Now, let me show you these pictures. So, the first one, she says, I have no idea of how old I am. Um, but this is me as a little girl wearing a dress sewn by my mom. Love that ponytail. The next one is going to be dad's favorite photo of me. In the photo, to me, she looks a lot like Isabel, but y'all tell me what you think if you can see it. Um, Mom put my hair in pigtails and couldn't take her eyes off me, probably because I moved around all the time. And then she has another photo of her from Easter. It was taken before her baptism in one of her favorite dresses. I know it's I like when I have pictures in here, I try to let you guys, if you're watching, see what it is. Next picture, I got braces in 8th grade. I love that outfit. The shirt belonged to my mother, who is also cool. In another picture is her high school graduation day. Her grandmother's in the picture. Um, her dad is in the picture and her mother is in the picture. Then it's the infamous wedding day pic. I'm surprised she put pictures of Cody in here. The wedding day pic with Cody, and then her when she was pregnant with McKelty. Trying to get past this fast. She got a lot of pictures. Her and Cody again, a couple months after being married. Considering all that she went through, both of them are smiling hard in this picture. And then there's a family portrait with Aspen and McKelty. Robin created a drawing of Cody. What? The family portrait with Aspen and McKelty that Robin used creating a. Oh, I think this is if this is the infamous one that she took and then got real creepy and had somebody else insert her kids in that same picture with Cody. I didn't like that. Interesting that she put that in there. Then she has a picture of them from their commitment ceremony. It says pouring sand at the commitment celebration. Why are we doing this? And then another picture, our commitment celebration with her family, and McKelty's glamorous hat. Ooh, I don't know. Sorry, y'all. I'm trying. It's kind of rough the way that they got these things looking. Oh, I'm over the pictures. The next pictures, I'm not showing no more. It's the same ones we've already seen. The ones from Coyote Pass where they're all wearing well, no, it says Vegas. They're all wearing red and black and jean, and then her and Cody, and then pictures from the Aspen's wedding. She put a lot of pictures in here. And finally, the last page, she has a picture of her and her father with Peyton in the background when she was getting married to her now husband. Then she has a picture of Peyton walking her down the aisle. The glue in this is funky because it's some of the pages stuck to this. Interesting. And then her and her husband. Great. Y'all, if there's more pictures in here, I'm not doing that again. Because I just feel like I like seeing pictures, but A lot of these we've seen throughout the years or we've heard about or whatever. Okay. Um, Next chapter. Chapter 26. Can I just be with her, please? Ooh. All the wives drove to San Francisco to look for a dress as a bonding experience for the Brown family commitment ceremony. Now, I just showed some pictures of that. The ceremony had come up in family therapy as a way to celebrate how far we had come, to acknowledge what we had learned in counseling, and to recommit to each other at a point when things seemed pretty precarious. I think that ceremony was so pointless, such a waste of money and time and all the things, but they had to put on a show, and it was a great way for them to end the season. Let's keep going on. Let's keep reading. The shopping trip was fine. If awkward was far as if awkward was as far as the dresses went. The crew showed Cody back home, completely clueless about how to feed and care for his 17 children. By that point, our kids took care of each other or themselves, but Isabel stubbed her toe and Cody burned the steaks, and that was the end of it. In San Francisco, we discovered that we couldn't all shop at the same store because of the size range of our bodies. Oh, that A, we couldn't all shop at the same store because of the size range of our bodies. And B, we couldn't talk on the phone with Cody in front of the other wives. In reality, we had a great time. It was a fun trip. Before we left, 3-year-old Truly had been just sick enough for me to take her to an urgent care doctor who said she probably had the flu and sent her home. Okay. So before they even left for the trip, Truly was sick. Sick enough that she took her to an urgent care doctor and she was told that she probably had the flu. Me personally, I wouldn't have went on the trip. I'm not judging Christine here. I'm just saying, in knowing what we know as far as Cody and his lack of parenting and the fact that your child is sick, I personally wouldn't have went. Once again, I'm not judging her. So I'm saying this because Cody must also have known that she took her to the doctor beforehand and they thought that she had the flu. So if I'm the parent who's there, I would be making sure that I monitored Truly majority of the time and she was with me because the doctor thinks she has the flu. Let's continue. While we were in San Francisco, Aspen called me because Aspen has always been a very responsible person and has always kind of watched the kids and helped Christine more than her own husband did. Truly is sick, she said, sounding panicked, like really sick, and I don't know what to do. I called Cody. The girls are there, he said. They can take care of it. Oh my goodness. She took her to the hospital already, urgent care already, and it was said that she probably had the flu. Your daughter is concerned about how she's looking, and your response is that the girls can take care of it. You're the father. So, hearing this, and then in early chapters, when Christine says he's such a good father, I'm sorry, I don't feel that way. I do not feel like Cody is a good father because him fathering is conditional. That's my opinion. Let's keep reading. Cody, I really need your help with Truly, I said. I have a lot to take care of at Robin's house. I remember him saying, I'll see what I can do. Awesome. Thanks. It always comes back to Robin's house. the the evening I returned home, Truly was still sick. She wanted to sleep with McKelty, and I went in to check on her, and her eyes were crossing. I ran her back to the urgent care. She needs glasses, he said. No, really, that's what he said. You don't understand what's happening here, I said. I immediately called my doctor, and he cleared his schedule. Bring her in now. He examined her. She was swollen and couldn't breathe right, and she could barely keep her eyes open, and she didn't seem to understand what was going on. I was terrified. Take her to the ER immediately, the doctor said. She's in kidney failure. Do you know how dehydrated that baby probably had to be in order for it to get to that point? And Cody was like, I'm taking care of stuff at Robin's. The girls can handle it. My word, my word, my word. Oh my God. We rushed her to the emergency room. I called Cody along the way and he met us there. It was so scary. They ran some tests and said she was like an 80-year-old woman on dialysis at first. They thought the machine was broken. They admitted her to the hospital and I stayed there with Cody leaving at night and coming back for a couple hours during the day, but Truly wasn't getting any better. And they said she had to be on dialysis. I'm going to be honest with you. I had a problem back when we watched this with him going home. I did. I felt like he should have been at that baby's bedside, but that's my opinion. You guys can let me know yours. She was so skinny, but also puffy, and she couldn't pee. Her bladder wasn't working. Her kidneys weren't working. They kept drawing blood to do more tests. And at the time, we had no insurance because we were right in the middle of getting new insurance. So they kept coming to the door of Truly's room to say, we need more money. I did not know that she went through that with Truly. I knew she had to save up money and things like that for Isabel's surgery, but I didn't know that money was a problem with their insurance and stuff back with Truly too. Oh my goodness. Look, I remember saying, my daughter's here. I don't have money for you. I can't help you. Can I just be with her, please? One thing about it, it is so insensitive when a person is going through a health crisis with their loved one and you throw insurance paperwork in their face. I remember when my mother had her heart attack, and y'all may not know this about me. You may not have picked this up, but I can be, if you want me to go there, I can go there. And when I say I snapped off on them, because I first thing I did was provided them with all of that information, because a lot of it I had stored in my phone, because my mother, that she works in that field and she already like knows that they're going to be wanting some of these things. But when I tell you that I got annoyed because I already gave the information to who needed it and two other people came to me about the same information that I had already given, like it has to be a better way. I'm not going to run out the hospital when my mom is about to be rushed into emergency surgery. Like, that's not a thing. You can collect the money when she's in recovery or the insurance information for the umpteen time then. But yeah, I get you, Christine, for this. I do. And this is she didn't even have it. She didn't even have insurance, and they're just hounding her. Then they would back off and then come back, and I'd offer up more money. By the end of it, I would owe more than 200,000. Notice she said I would owe, not we. Let me keep going. They wanted to do dialysis, and we had to decide whether we wanted to bring her to the hospital every day to hook her up to the machine or keep her in the hospital. She was so little, so of course we wanted to bring her home. That raised the risk of infection, but we decided to rent the dialysis machine and keep her in a familiar setting surrounded by those who love her. They had to perform surgery on her abdomen. It's different for toddlers to insert a catheter for the dialysis machine. And I remember waiting for them to take her back. The surgeon came in and looked at Truly's chart. How old is she? She asked. She's 3, I said. Why are you doing this surgery? I'm sure she could read the expression of what on my face. We went through hours discussing this with the doctors, and they said this was the best option. There is huge risk of infection, she said. It wasn't the will take good care of her pep talk I expected and needed. I don't have any answers for you, I said. I don't know what to do. She looked at the chart again, and then she looked at Truly's numbers. Oh, she said, well, I guess this is the best surgery. Cold. Oh my God. This is the surgeon who will be taking care of my daughter. The nurses and anesthesists got Truly ready, and then they started to wheel her off. Is it No, I'm making up words. Is this anesthetist? Alexa, how do you pronounce Anesthetic? Oh, anesthetic. Excuse me. Alexa, stop. Anesthetic. That don't seem right either. Got Truly ready, and then they started to wheel her off. Truly was screaming. Then swinging doors closed behind them, and I realized it was out of my hands and theirs. It was the worst feeling. There was nothing I could do for her. She was in there for a couple hours, and when she came out, she was puffy everywhere and looked terrible. I was so angry at the surgeon. I talked with a nurse who asked who it was. If my kids were going through anything, I would request her. She told me she honestly is the best there. The surgery went well, and I spent the night at the hospital. She's puffy because her fluid isn't going anywhere. Let me keep going. The next day, a doctor came to see Truly and asked how she was doing. I understand I really hurt your feelings yesterday, she said. Oh, I said, you're the surgeon. There had been so many people and so much stress that I hadn't recognized her. Yeah, I'm really sorry, she said. I get into surgeon mode, and it was just hard on me that she was so little. I could do it, but it was scary to me too. She was great. Truly was on dialysis for several more days in the hospital. They wouldn't let her go home until she urinated because they wanted to make sure everything was working properly. Cody told me to draw a picture of Truly at Disneyland, all healthy and better, and then draw a picture of her in the hospital with all the tubes tied to her. I showed her the hospital picture and we talked about it. She was still lucid and chatting, even though she was kind of out of it. I showed her the second picture and told her that as soon as she was well enough, we were going to Disneyland. That night, she peed for the first time. On the 10th day in the hospital, the nephrologist, Neprologist, said we could go home. He said that while Truly's numbers weren't quite where they wanted them, she was healing fast and that at her age she would get better faster at home. What about dialysis? I asked. She'll probably be fine, he said. He told us we needed to be careful the first year and watch her like crazy. We expected to go to a million follow up visits, but after 4 visits in the first month, she came home. Her doctor said, I don't think I need to see you again. If she gets sick again, let me know, but I think you're done. They filmed us coming home from the hospital and her greeting everyone, and she looked like a little stick figure. She did. She looked really, really skinny. She got sick twice more that year. On Christmas Day, she threw up. I looked at Cody. She's fine, he mouthed. No, I thought, I'm not doing this. I took her to my bed, and that's where we spent Christmas Day, all snuggled up. I watched her like a hawk, but every time she got sick, she was fine. She never had a relapse. No one knows what caused it beyond that she got the flu. She lived in Las Vegas and she got dehydrated. As always, we talked about the experience on the set. I needed your help, I told Cody, referring to the moment when Aspen had called me in a panic. He said he had been doing laundry at Robin's house. You see what I'm saying here? You couldn't check on your daughter because you had to do some laundry. That's why you couldn't check on your daughter? Like, oh, what? The washing machine was going to explode? The dryer was going to dry too much? Like, what? Come on. You were going to let our daughter die because you were doing laundry for Robin, I said. I felt like we were last on his list. Cody got so mad that he asked the crew to turn off the cameras because he knew just how bad it sounded. He hadn't been there when Truly and I needed him desperately. We're not filming this, he said. See, this is what I talk about. It's always how bad he looks. If he looks too bad, you don't want to show it. He was given too much power because they should have filmed it all. I confided in Robin about it later. If Truly had died, I would have left Cody, I said. She shouldn't have told Robin that because you know Robin ran. Robin flew and told Cody exactly what she said because she didn't matter to him, because he was more focused on doing laundry at your house than helping our daughter. Robin was beside herself. She was horrified at the idea of me leaving over the surgery. I don't think that that's something that's unbelievable. I'll be honest. I'm surprised she didn't leave him then. Her baby, as a result of Cody not making sure she was drinking fluids, having Pedialyte, having a popsicle, something, at some point was to the point where she had to end up being on dialysis. Of course, there were other things that may have occurred as well. However, he still didn't treat it to me like he should have. He still didn't like, there were times where he seemed concerned, but he seemed more concerned about Solomon going to get some teeth pulled out than he was about Truly and her whole kidney thing. But that's my opinion. Y'all tell me yours. Breaking up over the death of a child doesn't make logical sense, but I think she understood that in the situation it did, because Cody wasn't there for Truly. He wasn't there for me, and he wasn't there for his oldest daughters, who he left to deal with a scary situation. Robin told Cody, who got mad at me for talking to Robin about it, of course, rather than apologizing for not being there when we needed him. That was the last time I opened up to Robin. So rather than him saying, I'm sorry I wasn't there for you, da 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 da, Robin told him what she said, probably put some stank on it, and then he got even more upset with Christine, when he should have. Any other person in their right mind, any other parent would have been so apologetic about that, because they realized that they should have been there for their kid. I felt she betrayed my trust by telling Cody something I had said in confidence. Truly, on the other hand, was fine. We took her to Disneyland after she got better, and she spent a long time talking with Rapunzel and Flynn Rider. Did it hurt when Mother Gothel stabbed you? She asked Flynn Rider. Truly had seen that happen in the movie Tangled. I have a scar, he said. Still skinny baby Truly, who had almost no hair because she had just cut it all off by herself, took a look at his scar, and then she lifted her shirt. So do I, she said. Oh my gosh, their faces. They knew they were talking to a miracle baby. We have to talk to more kids. But afterward, do you want to walk with us through the castle? They asked Truly. Sure, she said. Obviously, the coolest character in the bunch and the cutest. Joy. They made a big production of it. Her confidence has always been amazing, and she walked through like she owned the place, like she was exactly where she was supposed to be. And that is where we're going to end this reading. Whenever she talks about Cody, I get upset all over again, because he constantly reminds me of how selfish he is. You guys, let me know what you thought of this chapter. Until next time.